All right, we're back, and it's still race season. I guess all year's race season,
All
but
years, yeah. Anytime that there is the internet and there is ultra run sign up, or there's marathon run sign up, or there's anything, it is race season.
it's race season. Uh, we are we're going to talk a little bit about what we've been doing this last week. Man, I feel like we just ran a marathon, and then you're running another marathon.
Yeah.
Where was your marathon this last week?
This it was in St. Louis. It was called the Go Greater St. Louis Marathon. 10,000 runners. It was big. It was a lot of runners.
And then today I had the opportunity to be race course support for the Run for Their Lives 5K that supported Freedom 424, an organization that fights against human trafficking, and it was pretty great. So this episode, well, I don't know. We're going to talk about a
I
lot
don't
of
know where it's
stuff.
going to go. Yeah.
Anybody who runs, supports, cheers. So Andrea, of course, is probably the biggest cheerleader we know. Anybody that doubts themselves, I've been talking with a lot of people in the last couple of weeks that have done the thing of I don't know if I could do that thing, and so I think that's part of what we've observed on the race course is a lot of people who really have come out of the I don't know if I could do it, and they did it.
And they
So,
did it. So let's do
yeah.
this.
All right, say the go. What's it called again? What was
The Go Greater St. Louis Marathon. I think I got
Yeah.
that right. It's pretty close to that. Everybody knows it as the Go St. Louis Marathon. Go with an exclamation point.
Okay, so I looked at your marathon race course, the Strava map, and I'm used to like a marathon being out and back, or a loop where you're running the whole thing and then you kind of come back. This was not that. I feel like it was taking just about every street in downtown St. Louis, and you
Yeah.
got to see everything.
Yeah, it was,
Um,
yeah.
So before we talk about why did you run, why did you run this race? We just ran a marathon.
I I had signed up for a race in June. What I neglected to do is check the family schedule, i.e., my wife's schedule, and I signed up for a race even though we were on a cruise. We were going to be out of the
What?
country, so that money just got dedicated to whatever charity that's going to. But I wanted to run a marathon before, so I have the Burning River 50 coming up in 84 days, and I just wanted to get miles, really good miles, but I wanted it to feel competitive or whatever. So I signed up for this race, and it was very convenient. It's right here in St. Louis, so I didn't have to travel a long distance. So that's why I signed up for it. And then it became more than that though. But yeah, that's why I originally signed up for it.
So how many people did you say run this St. Louis marathon?
They gave a count of 10,000, but there was also 5K, 10K, half marathon, and marathon running. But 10,000 people started at the same time. What's crazy about this race is all four races start at the same time, and then as the distances change, the people start peeling off. So it starts off mayhem, and then it slowly by the time you get past 13 miles, then you're out there running by yourself again. But
That's chaos.
it was.
If you're running a full marathon and you're starting by a 5K, I'm going to finish this in 17 minutes. Guy, he's
They were
he's
gone.
blown. They were gone.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'll say though that the race director and all of the staff, it's a very well run race. I didn't feel that. I felt a lot of people out there, but I didn't feel that. They really. I was look at. I've run a few of these marathons now. This was a really well run, or well put together one for sure.
Yeah. Look, you talk about wanting to get miles. I'm gonna pick. I got a bone to pick with you. It's
Yeah,
just
I know.
I don't even know what to do with it. I about threw in all my running gear and just quit.
I
I was
know.
going to
I know. It's
sell
my fault. It's my
all the
fault.
podcasting stuff. Look,
I know it's
on
coming right now. I
on
know it's coming right now.
listen, on Reist's post race. Everybody's got to have a post race social media post.
I did.
He literally said the first marathon he's run in 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't know where everybody else was back in March, but I know that I ran the RunHard Brothers Marathon in Lynchburg, Virginia, and I threw up several times. We ran through a tunnel that was built in 1859. I gave history lessons along the way. I was there.
I know.
I don't know.
I know.
And
It was my bad. After I made the video and then I put it out and I watched it, I was like, "Oh, C is gonna jack me up on this one." And so what I needed to say is that was the first officially sanctioned marathon that I had run, and my exhibition run with my brother, which was the RunHard Brothers Marathon. It was 26.2 miles. We did the whole thing. We just didn't have any officials out there. There was no way for me to get away with it, so I just left it. All right.
Ours is not yet a Boston qualifier, so that's true. I have been asked a couple times if we're going to do it again, and if we will include other people. So,
we should.
So I know I was actually really interested in this. The Boston or the St. Louis marathon looked like it was a show off of St. Louis, Missouri. Like it's something to get people in town. Probably bring people in, of course, to the city, but also run through the city, run under the arch, all the things. Talk about race day. Now you live close to St. Louis, close enough to drive in for the day. Did you stay in St. Louis or did you drive in that morning?
No, so we probably live 50 minutes away, maybe 50 minutes, an hour, depending on traffic. But I decided about a week or so before the race that we'd get a hotel room down there so that I could just get up and walk to the start line. And plus, it just made it easier on Andrea, my wife. She was going to be out on the course, and our hotel was right on the course. It was right where 13 and 18 mile markers were. And there was a Starbucks right there. So she didn't have far to go.
Of course.
And you know how she is about Starbucks. So it was like the perfect spot for her to watch, and then she could easily get to the start finish line. And then I was able to get a late checkout, like a 4 o'clock checkout. So after the race, could relax at the finish line, kind of enjoy all the festivities. And then we walked our way back to the hotel, and I was able to take a shower and relax a little bit. I didn't just have to jump in a car all marathon-y and drive an hour. I could relax. We actually stayed in St. Louis that night and went to the Symphony. So, and I'm not going to just side note.
Ran 26 miles and then went to a symphony that night.
We had that too was a whole schedule thing. I didn't realize that we had tickets to the Symphony, but nonetheless, the chairs were fairly comfortable, and I was able to get some good rest during the. There was a few times I got elbowed. Let me just put it that way.
All right. Well, this obviously being the RunHard thing, I wasn't there.
Right.
Talk about the race itself. Pre-race nerves. I mean, you just ran the ultimate marathon in March, so now you got to recover, but then also build back up. Did you feel like you were ready going into this to knock out 26.2?
Yeah. So I had a couple of really good runs coming up the week before. I low-key tapered a little bit, but I had a couple where I felt pretty good about the runs. But I will tell you, honestly, I don't know that I was nervous. I mean, it wasn't like if I failed, I was going to lose a sponsor, like my income was going to change any. But I told this to Andrea, I was not confident because I hadn't had a race in a long time where I executed a plan. I kind of, the couple that you and I ran down when you ran the half marathon with me, the first half that Donna with me, and then I ran the back half. But the first half we ate donuts and we stopped at every aid station.
That's my kind of race right there. Right. Donuts and chicken wings and gummy worms.
Yeah. So I had not executed a game plan, and I wanted to do that with this, and I had a very set game plan on what I wanted to do, and I didn't have a lot of confidence going into it, and I'm not sure why. I just didn't. And so part of that was good. Like sometimes you can go in a little overconfident, and that's when the wall hits you really hard. I was expecting the wall before the start line. That's kind of how my brain was working, and so not a lot of nerves, but not a lot of confidence.
Right.
Did I have?
I looked at your splits. You told me you had a negative split on this, which is good. And Reist is in one of those places that I don't know that I ever even want to be, but where this marathon is just preparing him for something. So he's just trying some things out in order to prepare for his ultra. But you finished the last 2 miles faster than you'd done about the 10 or 15 previous miles.
Yeah. So I think, and if we want to talk strategy, I'll tell you what the strategy was. And I don't like saying all this. It sounds ridiculous to go, oh, this was just I'm just out there to practice, warm up. But in a sense it was. I have a 50-mile race to run for, and I'm not ready for it, and I don't have a strategy for it. And I needed to start preparing what my strategy was. Everybody, there are unbelievable 50-milers. They go out and run it like it's a half marathon. That's not me. It's going to be 10 hours, 11 hours of pain for me. And I wanted to figure out if I could do it better. I've done a couple before, and I just have never done it very well. So I went into this marathon with some strict rules. And that was, I wanted to finish between 4 hours and 30 minutes and 4 hours and 40 minutes, that 10-minute window. Because for the Burning River, which is trails and hills, I'm going to be out there probably longer for those 26, but that would show me that I was able to maintain for the first 26 miles of a 50. If I can get through 26 miles of 50 and still have something, I can get the last 24. That's just a gut check. That was my brain power. So I said 430 to 440, and I wanted a negative split, meaning I wanted to stay so I read this thing, and I don't know where it comes from, and people that are listening here, if you're a runner, if you've done these, you've heard of the 10-10-10, where the first 10 miles you run a little bit over your goal pace, and then the second 10 miles you run a little bit under your goal pace, and they're set numbers for everybody. And then the last 10K, you just go. You just give it your best and see what you can do. So I decided that was how I was going to do it. And then I went way back, Cody. I went way back to marathon number 2, 3:59:59, and I took the 4-1, and I said, I'm going to do Galloway 4-1 all the way.
Right.
And so starting from mile 1, I did 4-1s. I averaged a 10:30 pace. If you look at my numbers, it was basically a 10:30 pace the entire way. And then I ran the last 3 miles at like a 9:50 pace. And I continually surprised myself on how I was feeling as I went through it. I continually surprised myself how I was feeling. And as the miles would go on, the confidence started building because I started realizing that I was able to maintain this 10-minute to 10:30 pace and not hurt too bad. I mean, it's a marathon. You hurt.
You should hurt a little bit, yeah.
But I have run a bunch of these, and I am very well known in my running community, i.e. my wife and me and you, of hitting the wall very hard at 20 and just falling apart. That's just what I've done on several occasions. And when I got to mile 23 in my video, I'm like, I'm just going to go for it.
Right.
And I did, and I was extremely happy. And I 433, so I was inside my window. I had a 218 plus and a 214 plus splits, so I hit that there. I maintained that 4-1 almost the entire way through, and it was just a good race. It was just, and it was a well-supported race out there. The aid stations, the way they did it, the people that ran that marathon, they knew it. It was their 25th. It was the 25th anniversary, so it was the 25th.
So they knew what they were doing.
They knew exactly. They knew better than we did when we put on our marathon.
Hey, you know what? We don't need to go there. That's
yeah.
It was the perfectly run marathon. Hey, the 10-10-10. If you Google and look up Runner's World, they have a whole article on it, and it's Nike run coach Julia Lucas. She says, run the first 10 miles with your head, the next 10 miles with your training, and the last 10K with your heart.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'll do next time.
Yeah.
How about that? So let's narrow it down. High point, low point of the entire race for you.
So I flip it. The low point, and this is what's funny, is the low point was at the 7 mile mark, specifically the 7 mile mark. For some reason, you usually don't have lows that early in a marathon, but at the 7 mile mark, I wasn't feeling it. I don't know what it was. I was just like, but it went away very quickly.
Right.
But it was a moment. I remembered it because I even told it to Andrea afterwards, because she asked me the same thing. Did you struggle out there? Like, it's funny at the 7 mile mark. But the high point outside of the finish line, which is always going to be the high point. So we'll put that over here.
Right.
The high point was 23 wraps around the 24. We ran up and we ran around think of it as a gigantic cul-de-sac.
Right.
Past the Fox Theater. And as I passed 23, it was uphill. And as I came around and I realized I only had 2 miles left, 2.2 miles left when I hit 24.
Right.
In my brain, I started thinking about the million times and exactly where 2.2 miles is on our routes, like we talked about on our,
right,
on our routes. And I'm like, I can do this. If I just want to stay at 10:30, I will hit my goals. I'll hit my goals, and I can do it. And I'm like, I'm just going to go. And I called Andrea at mile 25, and she thought, when the phone rang, she was like, oh,
he's done.
And I said, I'm just letting you know, I am killing it out here. And then I ran. Of course, 25 had a huge hill in it. I didn't know that. But
that sounds like that guy on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah.
They got to the very end, called his dad, and he goes, I don't need any help. I just called you to tell you I'm about to win this game.
That's funny, because that's basically what it was. I was calling her to say, I was so happy at mile 25, and I was just running, and the last 4/10 of this race, right before the last 10th, it was uphill. Like they threw you're flying down this hill and you're all happy, you come around the corner, you're like, what? But the high point was at 24 when I realized I could walk this thing and I would hit my goal like that.
Right.
And so the whole thing was just, I was very proud of executing. Like it's been a long time. I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I ran a marathon that I had set a goal and I had hit it that dead on. And it all starts with you and I starting to run in July in the middle of the summer, and I could barely get 3 miles done. Like I could barely get 3 miles done. But I will take this, and I don't know where we're at on our sheet, but the why it went well was the same thing and I thought about this while I was out there. It is the consistency. It's the consistency that you always talk about. That this game that running is won, not always by speed, not always by distance. It's about being consistent in your work, and the work paid off.
Yeah. I put that up the other day. The win is not the pace. The win is showing up.
Yeah.
It's getting out there and doing it.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. And then, we're going to say this probably every time. I really believe that everybody should try, whether it's the 5K or the half marathon, the whole marathon, because there's something about seeing that finish line. You talked about that. I'm sure Andrea's there. What is it like, St. Louis Go Marathon? What was that finish feeling like for you?
The finish line was great. You can see it for a long time. Like you can see it for the whole 2:10. The 0.2, you can see the marathon the whole time. And I knew that I was that close to being able to stop and just like take a deep breath, but I was extremely happy. And Andrea, I was cresting the hill. I couldn't see her, but I had worn bright orange.
Half a mile away.
Oh my goodness.
Let's go.
Oh, it was so loud. And there's video of it. I put a video out, and you can hear her just yelling. And that wasn't the only place on the course that she did that for. Um, but the finish line itself, yeah, it was amazing. And the poor guy, the poor guy announcing, he looked down at that sheet and was like, and I was by
Uh,
myself, so there was no group around me. I was all by myself, so he had to say my name, and
yeah,
he got pretty close. Did you hear it?
I did.
He said Reist, Mama. I don't know what he said, not Muma, but Mama. But it was still really good. I want to congratulate him. So if anybody knows him,
Right.
congratulate that guy, because I know he looked at that sheet and was like, "Oh, you
He's
got to
like,
be
oh
kidding me!"
no.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um, well, talking about finish lines, I told you that I got to be race course support today, and my wife Christina, she was at a finish line here in Lynchburg at the Freedom 424. It's the Run for the Lives 5K, and her and Mia got to stand at the finish line and cheer everybody as they came across. She was the one that right at the beginning of the run, she helped move everybody up to the start finish line, and they stayed there for an hour as everybody from the first fast guy who comes running through to the end. And it's neat being on a race course as race course support, having run races and understanding what it is to hear people cheering. Christina said she did not stop the entire time.
she is.
Cheer.
She is Andrea's
The twin.
the twin. She's pretty. She excels at cheering people on as well. Yeah, Chris got it. Chris has it happening.
Yeah. No, I kind of want to talk a little bit because as people are joining in, coming and listening to these things, we can talk about marathons, and I think it's something great to aspire to. You talking about flipping a 50 miler, even for me, I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing that one.
You are. By the way, we're putting this out there. He is.
I'm going to
He
just
just
tell
doesn't
you,
know it yet.
do not book that one for me like we did the Tobacco Road. I can deal with that. I don't know if I can deal with a 50 miler. But, when we talk about a half marathon or a full marathon, for a lot of people, that is a long way from where they are right now.
Yeah.
And we were both there, too, at one point. I mean, even having run as much as we were, this summer we were far away from that. And so, I like talking about 5Ks because it seems like in everybody's community, all summer long, all spring long, there's 5Ks, all fall. There's New Year's 5Ks. There's 5Ks popping up. And a lot of these 5Ks are tied to community fundraisers or community involvement. They're, something to show off of a community.
Yeah.
You can look up these places, and so we were a part of this one, and I think it's really cool because you have everybody from these highly trained racers that come in to people that they're going to walk the whole thing,
Right.
and so first of all, that we tell people to get out and turn your goals into accomplishments. It's probably one of the easiest ones to do is to say, I'm going to get out and I'm going to run this 3.1 miles, and I'm going to get a medal at the end. They've got bananas and croissants. They had all kinds of they had pancakes at the beginning. I know there's one down in Raleigh. It's the Krispy Kreme run that you run halfway through and you eat a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts, down it with milk, and then you got to run to the end. And there's all kinds of crazy ones. They're so much fun. Before I even talk about this one, do you have in your brain, like 5Ks that you've run, is there a favorite one that you've run or?
Yeah. So I run a bunch, and some very competitively. I wanna set my my personal best, and I have those. But I think it was maybe 2015 or 2014. I ran a 5K with Grace, my daughter, down at the Donna at the 26.2 with Donna down in Jacksonville, and Grace was everybody who you were talking about. Daddy, I can't run that far. Daddy, I can't make it. There's no way I'm
Right.
going to do it. And we trained. We got ready for it, and we ran that thing. And when at that race, you turn the corner and you can see the finish line a good half a mile away,
Right.
and watching her realize that she was going to do it, to this day. And now, Grace is getting ready to have her first kid, and I can't wait to run a race with him and tell him about his mom and how
Right.
she did it. So I remember that one specifically because Grace was all about that finish line afterwards. And then, she was going to go. She's never stopped talking about it to this day. So
Yeah. No, today was really cool. This organization that we support. First of all, we do it. We come along. We sign up as race course support. It means the world. I mean, we've got messages afterward just thanking us for being a part of what's going on. So it's neat. If you can't get out and run, go and support one of these things by just showing up and saying you registering to be on course support. They had people cooking, baking pancakes and being at the start finish line and handing out waters and making it happen, volunteering to make it happen. And our Guatemala mission team, this was our opportunity to serve as a team. And so we got to get out and be on the course. We had, like I said, Christina and Mia were at the start finish line helping out there. Had some, they ran out one direction for about 3/4 of a mile, and then they made the turn. And so we had a group there just literally standing there. Good job, way to go, keep going. And then turn around and they come, and then the course is really cool because it's kind of flat. And then as you approach mile 2, the last half mile before mile 2, it's downhill. I mean, it's a downhill to where you turn around and then you run the rest of the race from mile 2 all the way back is completely uphill. And so we're down at the turnaround, high-fiving people and doing the cheeky little thing saying, hey, it's a little bit to go, a little bit left. And then I had some kids that were on that hill, and their whole job, and you could hear them, their whole job, everybody that came by just cheering them, telling them they're doing a good job. And so I love that because, I saw people I knew, I saw people I didn't know. But every time somebody ran by, I remember all those people on every race course that I've been, they don't know me.
right,
But when you see somebody that's just going nuts for you and high-fiving you, you get that feeling of, okay, I can make it another 50 feet. Yeah. And the first guys that came through, I'm not worried about them, whether or not they're going to make it. But I am cheering them on because I think the guy that won did it in about 17 minutes. And that's with a 1 mile basically uphill to finish. That was crazy to watch that happen. But then you get to the middle of the race where these are the 25 to 35 minute finishers. A lot of them are the ones that we love to encourage, and we love to be like, you literally got out and did this. This is the coolest thing. So for me, it was neat to see families running together, people overcoming fear, and then every one of them understanding that we came to support this organization. Freedom 424 fights against human trafficking, especially with younger people, getting people out of that prison. That's slavery, and so we got to be a part of that. And for our team, none of them ran it this year. But to have the organizer come and say you had a part in raising the money that's going to go to do this, it was incredible. And I put on our sheet, you and I were talking about it, that what I see when I'm on that course is bravery. Some of the bravest runners, some of those people that literally didn't have running clothes, but they came out to do it and they were doing their best. And they were so excited when we were like, you are doing great. And I'm like, thank you so much. So encouraging. Brave runners at that mile 1, mile 2, not sure they can make it. But I followed the last group up, and every single one of them did it. And I just had this feeling, I'm so proud of all these people, and I only knew about 10 of them.
right. And I had the same experience after the race, after the marathon this last weekend. My wife and I sat there. It was awesome because there was like every chiropractor and physical therapist had a table out, and I was getting stretched out. It was great. And we just kind of sat there at the finish line. We were just like relaxing at the finish line all the way to the 6-hour finishers. And I was watching how hard they were working to get to that 6-hour mark, and you have to step back. We hear this a lot, but the guy that won it, I think, ran in 2:25. I think that's what he ran the marathon, 2:25, and he was exhausted at the end, and he had put everything out, and he had done everything he could to hit that 2:25. Well, guess what? The person that just did 5:59, I saw her face though. Literally it was a 5:59:58 or something like that. She put everything into that last 2:10. She was giving it her all, and I thought, there's the difference is the only difference there was time. Effort was there. There's an argument that hers was 4 hours longer of max effort.
Right. Yeah.
But it was brave. And look, there's all kinds of levels of brave. There's running into a fire to save someone, brave.
Right.
And there is brave to just keep going. And, we're in an era of social media and Garmin's and this, that people, you get out there and you realize what you're going to finish, and you know what people are going to think of that finish, and you can either go, I'm going to be proud of that finish, or you're not. And I am just encouraging you, whatever your finish is, as long as you gave your all, right? As long as you went out there and did everything you could, then be proud of that finish, be proud of that effort. But it humbled me to see them work that hard and get that and see the elation. Guess what? They had the same elation I did, and I hit my mark as the guy that won. It's all this elation. And guess what? We all got the same medal.
I know.
We all got the same medal.
Right.
And when it comes down to it, I haven't had maybe 2 people ask me how fast I ran. They asked me, you finished? You ran 26 miles? Congratulations to anybody. They do a 5K or whatever. And one thing that I think was important, the amount of support that you get out on a course from pure strangers it does not go unnoticed. It does. Right. You feel it out there, but when you get that support from like family members, like Andrea being at mile 13 and mile 18 was a strategy for me, because it became this. I broke the race up to get to 13 miles. My body was prepared for that with no problem. I was going to get to 13 miles on a steady pace. Right. But that 13 to 20 miles is the danger zone. That's when you start. But when I passed her at 13.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know that.
When I passed her at 13, I was like, I only got 5 more miles and I'm going to see her again. Right. So it became a 5-mile run. And then it became an 8-mile run. And so go out and run it. And be proud of your run. And for you guys, for whoever stands on the sideline and cheer, know how important it is. Right down to the finish. Andrea wasn't the only one. I wasn't the only one Andrea was cheering for come to the finish of that marathon. Like, a lot of people heard her. Which, by the way, she should patent or copyright the level of cheering that she does. Because if she could package that up, race directors would sell it.
It's funny. You put out a video today on our social media, and you have the different races. You have you running, you have Christina running, but then you have me and Michelle finishing the Muddy River Marathon in there. And if you had only had the audio at that time, because literally in that video, I remember that video. In that video, we're still a long way away. You can hear Andrea cheering for me, and I remember that too. And it is, I know that a lot of those people that ran by me today, they don't have a clue who I am. But I high-five several. There was little kids that I'm high-fiving as they go through. And just the look in their eye, they're in the middle of accomplishing something. And I run to the thing of how many of them, this is their first 5K. And to go back into their homes, to go back into their work and say, man, I ran a 5K this week. Like, that's a big deal. It's a big accomplishment. And I guess, that's what I want. Part of what we do with the RunHard podcast is really to have these moments where we talk about, like, there is something to setting goals and making something. Running isn't just for me about the stats, and it's about community. It's about a lot of things. This week, it's been a release for me. Yeah. our dad has been in the hospital this week, and that's a story that we're gonna have to probably unload.
That's a whole unpacking over here. But
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, he's there and he's not well.
Yes. This week for our family, I haven't run, there's this thing in my head that I work through several levels of. I haven't run, and people are going to notice it on Strava that I haven't run. Nope, not a single person. I literally don't go. I literally don't go through Strava going. Daryl hasn't done it.
Right.
I don't. But I think that, and then I go. Reist is going to be like, "Are you not running anymore?" Of course, you know what's going on, but this is the mental thing that I go through.
Of course, it is.
And then what it comes down to is that I want to be consistent. I want to keep. I feel good when I'm running, and not running. I've started to feel the effects of that. And it was interesting. I think it was Thursday. I'm at the hospital, and I mean, he's fine. He's going through some stuff, but I'd been sitting in a hospital, been cooped up, and I had to run out to get the keys out of the car. And Christina had parked kind of way back in the parking lot. And it's funny, I got to the door and I just ran to the car. Like I didn't mean to go for a run, but I just started running, and I got emotional running out because I was starting to release just the ability to disconnect. And I ran kind of a long way, and I just ran slowly to the car, and I ran back, and I was like, I need to get out. So yesterday, I got up and I said, I'm going to go for a run. And it was probably the greatest 4-mile run that I've had in the longest time. And as I started getting closer to home, I only had a limited time to run. But as I got closer to home, I didn't want it to end. I'm like, I really just want to run 5 more miles just to be out and to do this release. There's health benefits. There's challenging yourself. There's getting better. But sometimes it's just, man, it's a tool that I can use to unwind.
Yeah, I don't want it to ever come across as we talk about turning goals into accomplishment, that the only goals can be race goals.
You're right.
There is a lot of people that may listen to this or that are runners on Strava or whatever that have no intention to ever run a race. They run it for exactly what you need, and what I use it for too. Sometimes you need to decompress. Sometimes you need that time to get out. So know that that's okay. That's okay if your reason for running is simply to lose weight, get some exercise, whatever it is, that's okay. And guess what? You'll still get supported, right? If you've ever gone and run around a lake, how many times has another runner just gone like, "Hey, good job"? They don't know what you're doing, but they know they know how hard you're working. Yeah. So
out on that course that you and I ran, the RunHard Brothers Marathon, the number of times
marathons I've ever run. By the way.
You're an idiot. When I run that, it's an out and back type thing, and so there's always runners there, and you do have some guys that are coming in and they don't know what it is to be part of the running community, and so I'm like nodding and throwing a hand up, and they're like, "Leave me alone."
They could be dying a slow death, Cody.
They might be.
They could be at 20 miles, and they're blurry. Their vision is blurry.
But by and large, almost everybody that you run by at least nods the head or says, "Good job, keep going, get after it." And the number of people that I've fist bumped, and when you run and they're going to throw the fist bump, then you got to time it so you don't crack their hands running too fast. You do that, but it's encouraging there. And even when you talk about a marathon's 26.2 miles, but it's not really. That's the end right there. The 26.2 is the test. It's the culmination. It's really 650 to 700 miles that ends in the last 26.2 where you get the medal. And that's what that medal represents is all of the training, all of the food, all of the nights, all the days. And so a lot of running is unseen. It's on your own. It's listening to books. I looked. I'm at 125 books I've listened to now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
While I'm running, and so there's so much to it that I would just encourage. Look, I get it that when you hear Reist talking about running a 50 miler, you're like, what the world? What am I even listening to right now?
What am I even saying?
Right. But in reality, I am just as excited. I sat across the table from a college student that is getting ready to, she's graduating and she's moving away. And one of the things she said, she goes, I've listened to you and your brother on the podcast and on social media. How do I get started? Reist, I am more excited about her taking the first month and learning how to run and just getting out there and do it. I'm more excited at that than I am for me to go out and run a few miles, because like that's really cool when people go, I think I can do this, and we have a little bit of a part sometimes to encourage somebody, and that's really what we want to do. So here's the deal. If you need encouragement, message me and say, hey, I don't know if I can do this, and me and Reist will definitely tell you can.
You can. And every new runner gives us one more runner we can talk about running with. That's also a positive. That's something that I really like. Is I can talk about shoes and my new watch and all that stuff. So, and it'll matter to them. So
yeah. And I can talk. It's funny. You and I are different in a lot of ways. In that, if I don't know how I ever let this watch go, there's watches that I'm like, that'd be so cool to have, but I'm like, I might fail if I don't have this exact watch. And my shoes, I need new shoes desperately, but I'm like, I can get 5 more miles out of these shoes.
You need to get new shoes, Cody. Else I'm going to be watching you walk around with. I would send you shoes, but my shoe, they wouldn't work. Like,
right. Well,
it's only about this much too short. So.
Right. As we get ready to finish, I'm going to do something. One of the things at the 5K today, they had a what's it called? Expo. Like, this is crazy. They partnered with
5K Expo.
Well,
they went all in.
There's this thing called Thrive here in Lynchburg, where it's all the health and wellness things that they come together for this expo, and they partnered with this 5K this year at Liberty University's indoor track. So the upstairs of the indoor track had all of these health and wellness centers up there, and it was packed. It was a genius move on their part to do this, because not only was it the 5K, which brought, I think there was close to 400 people there running, and they had a family night the night before with a kids fun run and all the things. But I went through, and dude, I got so much stuff that I want to do a log on how some of the stuff made. I got collagen. I got Jocko protein powder. Have you heard of this stuff?
I have not, but it sounds really tough.
It does. Well, it's all of these things are supposedly clean and plant-based protein. All this really neat stuff. But what I want to do is I want to kind of document. So I told them we do a podcast, and they were so impressed, because nobody else does running podcasts anywhere ever.
The tens and tens of people that are listening at this point.
Yes.
And we understand that if you're listening, you can't see Cody pulling this stuff out. So
yes,
hopefully he'll do a very detailed description of each piece that doesn't minutes.
I'm not going to do it. But I am going to say that next time I'm going to have a report of my favorite things I got for free.
Oh yeah,
at the expo.
And I would love to hear what other people, because there's some good things that come right at these expos. So.
Oh my goodness, this was probably one of the. And I've been to marathons, and I've walked around with the bag. I got more stuff in this bag for free than I got at any marathon ever, and I've got enough hydration powder to last like a month, and so I'm gonna document that. I'll probably put that on our social media. You can follow us on our social media, RunHard Podcast. On Instagram and on Facebook. We don't have a TikTok yet. Are we going to do a TikTok?
I don't know. It's been kind of mean to us, but we could give it a shot. Mr. DD out there telling us we should, so I just got a text from him saying, so maybe we should do that. So
yes, and this is episode 3, and we said we're going to start with guests on, what did we say, episode 6
or 8. I forget what
I already told Chris. I'm not even going to make it a secret. I already told Christina she's got to be our first guest.
Yeah, I think that goes without saying, and I've got a lot of questions for her.
Yes,
a lot of questions for her. But yes, I do.
You know what? This is what we need to do. Also, you've been talking a lot about Andrea. Mm-hmm. Andrea has run in these.
100%
but
did.
she has taken what it means to support the runner to the perfect level. And so I think that the first set of guests, you bring Andrea in, I'll bring Christina in, and we'll have the conversation, and they'll take over the podcast, and we'll be out of a job.
There is no doubt, but I think that is good, because when it all comes down to what the meaning of this one here, of this show that we're doing, this episode here, is about the support, is about the fact that if you want to, you can do it. And when you don't think you can do it, there's going to be somebody out there that says, I got you. I'm going to help you through this. And you've heard me say this now multiple times. I was at a point where I ran 60 miles a week. And then I was at a point where I ran 0 miles a week. And that zero miles a week lasted a long time, until I'm sitting on the porch and this guy right here, my brother, says, let's go for a run. And
that was rough. That was rough.
It was rough. It was July in Florida.
Yeah.
And he's out there making me run because he's bigger than I am. I might be the older brother, but he's bigger than I am.
I came in and I said, Christine, I think he's going to die.
I felt it was awful. But I thought about that at like mile 20 of that race, because I was running a race and I was feeling good 20 miles in, and you're not supposed to feel good at 20 miles in. And I was feeling just fine. I thought, Cody pushing me out there, and then this little thing that we're doing has got me feeling so good. So just because you stop doesn't mean you're done. It just means you stopped. And so now let's start again. So we really want to encourage you to get out there and definitely run.
I wrote this down in here. If you're training, keep going. If you're supporting someone, it matters. If you're doubting yourself, you're not alone. Yeah. And we don't know everything. We're just having fun with this, but we have done it, and we have done it well. And we've started, and then we've stopped, and then we've started again.
And we failed, and we've done things wrong.
I've thrown up all over the place, but I'm still going to keep going. And so this is what I'll say, is that if you want to start and you don't know where to begin, we've got something that we can send you. We got something that we share. It's on our link tree, but if you don't even know how to get to that, just message us and we will send it to you, just to help you get started. And then we're going to keep doing this every other Tuesday. We're going to drop a podcast. Once we hit 100,000 views, then maybe we'll consider doing it every week. I don't even know about that, but no, it's fun. This has been fun.
Yeah, it's a good deal. And again, I just want to say again that if it gets back to whoever ran the St. Louis Marathon, they did a wonderful job. There was some repeating of that course, Cody, where you ran the same part of the course more than once, but it was underneath the arch. Like, we ran around the arch more than once. And so I heard there's always a complaint, right? And if there was any complaint, it was that. And I couldn't figure that out, because I was running underneath that arch, and the visuals were amazing. So I just want to say that they get critiqued so much. It's good to sometimes say, "Hey, nice job! Like, that was a good time." So
look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I know I live here, but the arch is awesome. So
that's pretty cool.
Hey, if you ever want to tick off somebody from St. Louis, all you say is, "Can we go see the arches?" And it'll make them, and they will lose their minds. In fact, if my wife just heard me, she's up there losing her mind right now.
I'll take a sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin if we go to the arches. So, all right. Well, that's all I got. You got anything else?
Nope. Just go out there and run. Just have a great experience of finishing. It's gonna be worth it. I promise you. And
it all starts with mile 1.
It all starts with mile 1, and it all ends with an amazing finish. So run hard, always finish, and I mean, really turn those goals into accomplishments. Whatever that goal is, work as hard as you can to accomplish it, and somebody will cheer you on. I promise you. If nobody else will, Cody and I will. I promise you.
That's right. We got you. All right. That being said, friends, family, and all 3 other of you listening, we're out.